Magdalena here from the Creative Photography School, and this is video number 6 of the 6-part mini video series teaching you the fundamentals of photography. So today we will talk about, in the last video, the different shooting modes. And it's quite important for you to know because, yes, we discussed all the exposure components, aperture, shutter speed, ISO, but you don't have to really take control of all of them at once. It's just, some could be too much to handle at once. So there are different ways, but you need to know, obviously, full automatic, you need to get away from that. But we will cover all modes, so you see what different controls, because each mode has a different control set. And you need to basically learn all of them to make a decision what's best for you, really. The first one is the full automatic, also called auto. As the name suggests, everything is automatic. So you don't have to do anything apart from pressing that button. Maybe, put the focus point on the subject that you want to have in focus, but then everything else will be done for you. So all the decision-making process that we discussed in video number 5, the creative control, none of that is really there. On the one hand, obviously, that, if you don't want to make any decisions, and maybe you're in stressful situations where you can't make the decisions because you have to act quick, yes, maybe full automatic is the way to go. But in general terms, you don't need a DSLR, to be quite frankly. You don't need a DSLR to shoot in full automatic. You can use a point-and-shoot camera, you can use your smartphone. You will get the same sort of results because it's all automatic. Yes, the image quality is a bit higher because you have maybe more megapixels, but the smartphones nowadays have amazingly quality with in that, but they don't have the, you can't have much depth of field in some of them. Maybe if you have an app, but the general point-and-shoot cameras, you can't really adjust that much. You don't have any creative control. If that's what you want, then fine, but quite frankly, you don't need a DSLR camera for that. The DSLR really comes to its full potential when you want to have creative control over certain things. The next one is program mode, P. So this one is similar to full automatic, but you have a tiny bit of control. You can control the ISO sensitivity and you can control which focus mode you want to use. So it's not much. So I would still, P for me is still full automatic, but it gives you a tiny bit of more control. The third shooting modes are the scene modes. And the scene modes are basically the little icons on your dial. So there's a portrait, a landscape, a nighttime, a macro, and I think an action one. So these ones are still fully automatic, but they're tailored to a certain situation or a certain type of photography. So if you are in a sport situation, like a football game, and you want to take images on there, if you put it on the action setting, it tells the camera that you are in an action setting and you need fast shutter speed and continuous autofocus. So basically that the autofocus moves with the subject so that it stays in focus, and fast shutter speed so everything is frozen. I think that's a better way of just using full automatic mode. But if you don't want to have fast shutter speed, you don't want to freeze everything in that situation, you might, you want to track maybe a car moving by and you want to, have a little bit slower shutter speeds because you want to have blur in the image as well, then that obviously is a creative decision and you can't achieve that with that mode. So again, all of these are full automatic modes, really. Yes, they are tailored to specific situations. So they are, making your life a little bit easier. So you can use them with no fuss. But with no fuss, there comes no control, really. So it's a way of how you want to deal with it. But if you are, you're watching these videos, I'm assuming you have a DSLR and you want to take more control and you want to understand what photography is about. And photography is creativity. And, it's subjective, but it's still, there are certain things that you want to achieve with it. So in order to, obviously, all these exposure components and then metering and then focusing and all these different factors, that is quite a lot to take in at once, and I completely understand. So you don't need to go all manual either. So that's the other end of the spectrum. You can go semi-automatic. Semi-automatic is basically the way forward. I would recommend you to use one of the two semi-automatic modes, and we have aperture priority and shutter speed priority. Aperture priority, as the name already suggests, it lets you control the aperture settings. So you can control how much depth of field you want, or what kind of depth of field you want, whether you're in a landscape situation, whether you want to have a portrait situation, whatever it is, you control the aperture setting. And then the camera basically knows that you want to do that. So it meters the light for you and adjusts the shutter speed and the ISO accordingly. So that's obviously a really great way to move forward, if to at least have something that you can control creatively. In general, this is semi-automatic is more control over a lot of things than you have in full automatic. But in terms of exposure and the three components, you're basically, all you make a decision about is the aperture, and the rest will fall into place by your camera's decision making. And then the other semi-automatic mode is shutter priority. As the name suggests, in this one again, it's all your shutter speed settings are taken prioritized basically, so you can make a decision on your shutter speed, and then the camera adjusts the aperture and the ISO for you. So these are really great ways to get you started. I would really recommend you to start out with that. The last but not least is the manual mode. Obviously, this is the big one. This is the one where you control everything. You have to make decisions and you have to control everything. You have different settings for different situations, but this is the big one. And I don't expect you to do it right away with that, but semi-automatic would be my recommendation to start off with. I sometimes use it. I know other professional photographers are using it sometimes, because in hectic situations, like for example a wedding or in an event, you don't have the time to think about everything all the time. So you might, just to ease your mind, you might use aperture priority, for example, and let the camera sort of worry about the rest. But in most cases, I only use, 98% probably I use manual mode, but every photographer is different. You are different. You make your own decisions. I would recommend to start off, roll over everything. But like I said, a lot of people are using it. So do start off with that one, as long as you get away from full automatic. So anything I can get you to get away from full automatic is a win for me. Basically, that's it. These are all the shooting modes, and you make the decision whatever is best for you. I hope you liked what you've learned so far. There's lots more content. So in terms of what comes next, well, there's lots of more content on the website. It ranges from other photography fundamentals like metering, focusing, depth of field, other things about the fundamentals. But I also make videos about creative techniques. So light painting, light trails, prisming. And then there will be also videos about Lightroom and Photoshop, so different software techniques, workflows, etc. So there's a lot of content coming or already there. There will be also online video courses, but also if you are in the area of Essex, UK, make sure you check out the workshop section of the website, because I am giving face-to-face workshops with a group of people, and they range all levels. So it's beginners, intermediate, some advanced courses, some specific themed courses. So, just check it out and see whether you're in the area and see whether you're available. Last but not least, just want to make you aware of the Facebook group. We would love to have you as a member. And just create a community. It's open for everyone. You can create a community. You can share your images, your thoughts, really just whatever gets you excited about photography. Share your images that maybe you took throughout this course or the 6-part mini video series. If you have any questions, raise them there, or feedback or whatever it is. Let me know. I would love to hear from you, and thank you so much for watching. Definitely check out the other videos to get you going on your journey. But I hope this really, helped you off your feet and onto the streets and onto sort of your creative ways of shooting and getting into photography. So thank you so much for watching, and I see you next time. Thank you. Take care.